Osama bin Laden was either in Yemen or in Saudi Arabia working with his father. But America saw the socialist leaning of the government in Afghanistan, and Zbigniew Brzezinski, the national security advisor under Jimmy Carter, devised a policy, and they sent money into Afghanistan to stir up those against the socialist ruling group. Russia, the Soviet Union, seeing the trouble, marched their soldiers into Afghanistan. And when the Russians marched their soldiers into Afghanistan, then the Mujahideen rose against an army of occupation. At that time, the CIA started backing the Mujahideen. They didn't ask them what their religious dogma was. They didn't care as long as they could be used against their Cold War enemy, America's Cold War enemy. For 10 years, the Mujahideen, Osama bin Laden, all of them fought the Russians, and they won against the Russians, and this caused the collapse of the Soviet Union. America promised them that they would help them rebuild Afghanistan. And after the Mujahideen defeated the Russians, the Americans backed out on their word. And that's why I say to the world, don't trust the word of these who promise only to deceive. Now the Taliban rise. They don't like America. Why should they? What did you do for them? You used them and then cast them aside. So they're growing in anger toward America. Not toward the American people as such, but the policymakers of this government. So this hatred is brewing all in that area for America. So Al-Qaeda forms. What are they forming for? Because America, like a giant serpent, has put her tentacles all over the world. So what they want to do is cut off the tail, cut off every bit of this serpent. And they feel they're justified. Evidently, they got America's attention. They're all over the world. Why are they all over the world? Because you are all over the world raising hell. So now somebody's confronting you all over the world. And it's going to get worse and worse. I'm telling you what I know, man. This thing is the beginning of the final judgment of the United States of America. You can take it or leave it. I have warned you. That's all I can do. You don't want to listen? That's on you. You may think I'm some wild-eyed, crazed radical, but I'm warning you that what you're getting into, you will wish for the day that you had listened to those who told you don't do it, from your own people as well as from one who is a descendant of the slaves. Now I'm going to close this with my sister's question. You know, most people that answer questions, they usually answer one word, 2 words, and it's over. Brother Farrakhan can't help himself. He's a teacher. But I enjoy answering your question to the best of my ability. And so far, God has blessed me. I never duck questions. Whatever you ask me, I try to answer. My sister, you asked about Zimbabwe. What's happening in Zimbabwe is frightening. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Mugabe is in trouble. He's not in trouble because he's a bad man. He's in trouble because he waited 20 years to do what he and the liberating warriors fought for 20 years ago. When they were winning the war against Ian Smith and the Rhodesian armed forces, if they had just conquered then, like a warrior army should, then punish those who inflicted pain on them, and then took the land that they were fighting for, it would have been probably better at that time, because they were a conquering army. Just as they were about to conquer, they sued for peace, the Rhodesians, and they met at Lancaster House in the United Kingdom, and they worked out a deal. The British wanted them to pay for the land of the farmers, and they said, no good, we fought for it, you pay for it. So Britain and America agreed that they would pay the farmers for the land, and the farmers would go back to Great Britain. America paid some, Great Britain paid some, but over time that stopped. Mugabe then was the toast of the Commonwealth, well loved, well respected, until one of the soldiers settled on the land, said, this is what we fought for, and you have not fulfilled what we fought for. And being a man of principle, he realized that they had not. So he backed land reform. And once he backed that principle of land reform, not taking all the land back from the white settlers, but they could not have 4,500 farmers owning 12 million hectares of land. And a hectare is 2.7 acres. And the white settlers had the best land, and I mean huge, huge acreage, while the millions of blacks had very little. So Mugabe now wants to take land back from the settlers, not all of it, but enough of it for the majority population, leaving those settlers with what they could farm and handle. That caused the anger of Great Britain, America, and Europe. Now he's a demon. But why is he a demon? Because in Africa, whites have the land. Blacks have flags and national anthems and live in state houses. But the wealth of Africa is still in the hands of the former colonial masters, particularly in South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique. So Mugabe they have to make an example of him, because if they don't crush that spirit in Zimbabwe, now Namibia says, we want our land. Thabo Mbeki and the South Africans are saying, we want our land. Well, what is this going to do? It's going to produce race war if the Western powers do not step in and say, look, let's make a deal. And make a deal that the blacks can live with, and the whites who helped to develop the country can live with as well. You don't want to just tell them get out, because they helped to build the place. You have to be fair, you have to be just, and if you can find the right solution where they get some, you get more, because you're the majority. And we'll let you stay. I mean, this is your home, but you can't own the whole house and keep me in the attic. Don't do that. there's a way out of this, man. We don't have to slaughter each other. It's terrible that we can't think our way through and find solutions that, yes, there's going to be some pain. You can't go to court and come out without some pain. Those of you who've been in divorces and whatnot, you know, man, this is painful stuff. And especially when the judge don't go along with your side. But the judge is the judge. This is what is necessary. But if it doesn't happen, there'll be race war in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Botswana. This is not good. Because if race war starts in South Africa, you can't start killing white people in Africa and it not affect black-white relations in Europe and black-white relations in America. And that is a tragedy if we allow this to happen. But now, the dogs of war. Once Bush makes that move, the dogs of war are unleashed. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they send a military force into Zimbabwe to remove Mugabe, because they already have an opposition leader and they've already seeded the world that he was improperly elected. You see? So just watch the events unfold. It's the day of judgment. And we're not going to get through this easy. It's a hard day, but at the end of it, there'll be a brighter day for all who survive, but there won't be that many. May Allah bless you all. Oh, you asked, the final thing is unity. If I would advise you to be unified, how? Yes, our unity would solve 90% of our problems. The question is how to get us united. That's why I thank God for President Bush. That's right. He'll help you. Yes. He'll help you. You're going to be united or dead. Right. May God bless us to be united. When I say President Bush will help you, I mean he represents those winds that will bring the dry bones in the valley together. We will come together, that's prophesied. But it's going to take some suffering to make us see that I need you and you need me. And you're not going to ask me, you a Muslim? Is you Baptist? Is you with this or with that? Don't make any difference. You're black. And you're going to suffer because of it. This thing is going to get real nasty. Homeland security is the pretext for all kinds of stuff that's about to go down, as you will see. So gird up your loins and take heart and courage. But I'll tell you, there's no hiding place today except in God. Thank you for listening. May God bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Brothers and sisters, would you please hold your seats for just one moment? We want to thank members of the media and members of the community for coming. We thank you for your questions, and I'm sure we can demonstrate our appreciation for the answers.